Hello and welcome to the Vaults of Terra. My name is Ed and today we're going to be continuing with our Horus Heresy videos with a quick look at some more of the minor campaigns that took place during the Horus Heresy. The first I want to speak about is the Battle of the Fall system. This was fought between the Iron Warriors and the Imperial Fists, and it showed the strength of the Imperial Fists Legion in the face of overwhelming numbers. In the prelude to the Istvan V drop site massacre, Rorgul Dawn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, sent out a retribution fleet, fully 1/3 of his legion, to punish the traitors. This fleet was caught by warp storms and stranded in the Fall system. It was empty of population and laced with psychic traps that killed several members of the fleet's leadership. Undeterred, the Imperial Fists maintained a high alertness and prepared for an external attack. 141 days later, the Iron Warriors appeared in the system and began to fight their most hated enemies. Expecting the Fists to be cut off and disorganized, they instead found the Fists' fleet on high alert and prepared to repel any assault. The conflict went poorly for the Iron Warriors, suffering substantial losses despite their superior numbers. The Imperial Fists even boarded the Iron Warriors' flagship, the Iron Blood, to face Iron Warriors Primarch Perturabo directly. The assault was bloodily repelled, but the boldness of the attack bought the Fists time. Unfortunately, the Imperial Fists did not have a chance to capitalize on their victory, finally receiving an order from Dawn through the warp interference to return to Terra. This order was actually months old, but they did not know that, and his fleet commanders were unsure if Terra itself was under attack or not. Regardless, they obeyed their Primarch and fell back, although as they did so, the retreat cost them some of their forces and ships in the Iron Warriors' final counterattack. In the end, this conflict showed the Iron Warriors how strong the Imperial Fists could be, and this near defeat weighed heavily on the Iron Warriors Primarch Perturabo's mind. Next up is the Battle of Ravendale. This was a conflict that followed the drop site massacre, with a defeated Raven Guard returning home to their Moon of Deliverance to rebuild their shattered legion. Unfortunately, they had been infiltrated by the Alpha Legion at Istvan V, led by Omegon from the nearby world of Kievar. The Alpha Legion's aim was the Primarch project data that the Raven Guard had returned with from the Emperor's labs on Terra. The Raven Guard sent in their forces to quell the rebellion that eventually occurred, but this distraction allowed Omegon and the Alpha Legion to infiltrate Deliverance further and recover the Primarch project data, leaving a distorted and tainted copy from Fabius Bile behind that led to the data turning the new Raven Guard recruits later into monsters rather than Astartes. Leaving the devastated Raven Guard to put down the rebel Mechanicus on Kievar, the Alpha Legion retreated with their prize. The next conflict was the Karanduru Uprising. This world was conquered early in the Horus Heresy by the Sons of Horus, and it was given to Chief Apothecary Fabius Bile of the Emperor's Children, who used the population to perform horrific experiments to further his knowledge. The Raven Guard eventually were able to infiltrate the world, using local rebels against Fabius's rule to instigate uprisings across the planet. As the planet was gripped by disorder, the Raven Guard were able to capture the planet's power generators and control a large portion of their battlefield. The Raptors, a powerful subset of the Raven Guard Marines, created with the pure Primarch project data, led the assault on the world, taking back much before encountering the Enhanced Warriors, created by Fabius Bile using the stolen Primarch project data to create creatures that biologically surpassed even the Space Marines. Corax, Primarch of the Raven Guard, himself was nearly overcome by these Enhanced Warriors before he was saved by one of his captains. In the very end, the forces of Fabius Bile were defeated due to the cunning of the Raven Guard, and although they were victorious, they did lose many Marines to these Enhanced Warriors. Next up is the Battle of the Alaxxes Nebula. Following the burning of Prospero, the Space Wolves were still recovering from the savagery of this conflict, whilst reports arrived of the Horus Heresy occurring in the wider Imperium. Whilst they were still recovering, however, they were ambushed by a substantial force of the Alpha Legion. The attack was so sudden and savage that it stunned the Space Wolves, with their Primarch Leman Russ ordering an immediate withdrawal to the Alaxxes Nebula. Pursued into the Nebula, the Wolves were surrounded and under siege by the Alpha Legion. Primarch Jagatai Khan of the White Scars and his legion were nearby and close enough to help, having been ambushed by the Alpha Legion ships at Konodax, but they were still unaware of the heresy at large. Unsure of who to assist, the Wolves or the Alpha Legion, especially once they received reports of Prospero's fate, they decided they needed more information, and Jagatai set course for Prospero, leaving Russ incensed and facing defeat. The irony that the overly aggressive actions of the Alpha Legion both here and later would mean Jagatai remained loyal to the Emperor did little to assist the Space Wolves at this moment. Russ locked himself away aboard his command ship, resigned and despising his position solely as the Emperor's executioner, which he now believed had led his legion to this fate. One of his captains was forced to command the legion's defence, and the situation appeared hopeless. However, at the climax of the battle, Russ returned, grimly declaring that he would be more than just an executioner. Reinvigorated and sacrificing some of their vessels for one of the Alpha Legion's command ships, the Wolves did manage to retreat further, however they were still chased by the Alpha Legion. Eventually, the two forces ended up locked in a brutal final conflict, with the Space Wolves close to being defeated by their enemy. However, finally, Russ's distress calls were answered by an unexpected ally. A Dark Angel's starfort named Chimera arrived, determining that Russ was the true loyalist based on his communications. They were able to swiftly break the back of the Alpha Legion's fleet, pushing them away. The fortress was unaware of the heresy that now gripped the Imperium, and gladly re-equipped the fleet in exchange for information. Following this was actually the Second Battle of Prospero. This began when Primarch Jagatai Khan arrived to investigate Prospero and Russ's claims of a civil war in the Imperium. Whilst he was on the devastated world investigating, the Death Guard arrived, whilst traitor warrior lodges within the White Scar's fleet tried to take control whilst Khan was on the surface. There was a bloody melee on the bridge of the Khan's flagship, whilst the Death Guard ships waited for a victor, and their Primarch, Mortarion, teleported to Prospero to convince his brother to join Horus. The negotiations failed, and the brothers, along with their retinues, attacked one another. As they fought, a fleet of captured traitor ships commanded by Salamander and Iron Hand Legion Space Marines assaulted the Death Guard. Seeing that he was outnumbered, Mortarion retreated as his fleet was chased out of the system. The Khan returned to his flagship and squashed the traitors amongst his ranks, before pursuing the traitors with his allies. They won the day, but the Death Guard committed many spiteful purges of systems around Prospero as they retreated, although this helped cement Khan and the White Scars to the Loyalist legions. Finally today I want to talk about the first siege of Hydrocordatus. The assault was undertaken by the Iron Warriors, led by Perturabo personally, who was targeting the world's small Imperial Fists garrison. This was due to the rivalry and hatred that both legions had for one another, even before the Heresy and the Battle of Fall, so tensions in the conflict were high. The primary target of the Iron Warriors was the world's Cadmean Citadel, a well-constructed fortress requiring only a minimal complement to keep the citadel defended. After a fierce bombardment that used magma bombs to try and destroy the Fists' defences, the Iron Warriors landed but found the citadel still holding strong, its defences still well placed. This failure to penetrate the enemy's walls led to a protracted and frustrating 3-month siege, whilst 200 Imperial Fists held off thousands of Iron Warriors with their powerful defences and masterful anti-siege strategy, protecting tens of thousands of civilians from the ravages of the Iron Warriors. Unfortunately, after 3 months, our defences were still close to intact. Enraged, Perturabo led the assault himself, and with the help of some creative Iron Warriors, he was able to breach the Citadel's defences using grav mines. There he slaughtered the defenders and the civilians that they were protecting, breaking the siege and leaving Hydrocordatus a barren and lifeless rock. That was all the battles I wanted to cover in today's episode. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below or contact me directly. If you have anything else you wish to say, please do so. I will be running through a few more of these minor conflict videos before I return to more of the major conflicts in the Heresy. And I hope you've enjoyed today. So see you next time on the Vaults of Terra.